Welcome back to Hi Guys. I know it's been little while since I made an Nikki Rose video, but here we are. So today's video we're going to be doing an overview on Abyssal Angel. Now Abyssal Angel, Nogaf class, whatnot. Don't really see it around anymore. I mean, probably, farming classes have evolved, whatnot, Legion Revenue LR, but let's just, take Abyssal Angel out of the bank. I was like, let's just do an overview on it. So yeah, the only way to really get this class is that one, it's a seasonal class. It's one of the many Black Friday classes. That means it's only available in November. Maybe save this later for for later on, whatnot. And it's only available. You can only buy it with ACs, 2,000 ACs to be exact. So yeah, that's the only way to get. All right then, the skills. We have our auto attack, Vice Bolt, 2-second cooldown, infinite range, 3 targets. Deals moderate damage enhanced by your spell power, can hit up to 3 targets. Each bolt exposes their deepest sins, dealing a minor DLT for 3 seconds, stacks to 6. Then we have Shadowed Flight, 15 mana, 8-second cooldown, infinite range, 3 targets. Applies Vantage Point, increasing hit, chance, and dodge by 15% for 6 seconds and stunning your opponent for 2 seconds. Also allows you to focus all your fire on one target, increasing your DLT damage by 75%. Your focus targeting reduces the amount of void energy you need to expend, implying mana refraction, which reduces mana cost by 50% for 8 seconds. Then we have Abyssal Alacrity, 26 mana, 4-second cooldown, hybrid, 4 range, infinite range, 4 targets. Striking up to 4 points and siphoning their haste to you with Catalyst, reducing theirs by 20% and increasing yours by 50% for 8 seconds. Then we have Umbral Judgment. 18 mana, 20-second cooldown, magical, short range, applies to yourself. Granting you a potent heal over time and quadrupling your endurance for 10 seconds. Your rank 4 passive, Engrave Arrows, increases DLT damage by 12%. And Strategist Ace, increasing wisdom and dodge by 18%. Then we have Imprisoned Shroud. 32 mana, 13-second cooldown, hybrid, short range. Spawns crystals from thin air to increase 25% damage resistance for 8 seconds. Also applies a clean cut. Increases your crit chance by 15% for 6 seconds. And finally, for our rank 10 passive, Shadow Sight, increases hit chance by 10% and critical strike damage by 15%. So I think what you want to, what we can gather from this class so far is that, it has, you have your skills right. I think you want to just, activate your 4 and 5, and then you just want to like spam 3 for effective farming. All right then. Let's move on to combos and enhancement. Alright, so here's the build that we're gonna rock here. Valiant, it's a good all-rounding enhancement. I mean, if you have Akron, I mean, I don't, you know, because I don't have any ACs for Treasure Chest. I mean, I have the chest, I mean max 250. But yeah, enough about that. Lucky, obviously crits, Lamet, crit, Examine, for less mana cost. If you have Akron, use it. I don't have it, so there. Alright then. For your combo, what you want to do here is 5, 4, and 3 and then 2. This is just for like soloing purposes. And you just repeat the combo. Now, with this class, while it does have like good endurance and whatnot, it's just like it's not its DPS is just far too low to really be an effective soloer. It does have, great damage, the DLT increase, but at the same time you are going to be locked into, one target, which is like for soloing, that's a good thing because you're only going to fight one monster anyways. At the same time, it's just, yeah, it's DPS, the 2K, the 3Ks, it's just like, that's not really it to be an effective soloer, especially in modern AQ worlds and whatnot. But overall, animations are still clean, even from way back when this class first came out, around 2016 this class came out. So, yeah. Guys, Just showing off the damage, you know, the stacks of Sin Arrow, the clean cut giving us some defense, and a good HOT as well. 713 HOT right there. HOT is just, yeah. I think from now on, with like soloing, like the soloing portion, if it goes past 2 minutes, I may just like stop it right there. There's no point for do like a 4 minute whatnot. But yeah, it's just, you know, it can solo, but you're gonna be taking like 5 minutes to do a solo compared to other classes which specializes in soloing. So yeah, we're past 2 minutes there. Within 2 minutes, you know, this is what it was able to do. So overall, in terms of soloing, this class is not a soloer. You know, its DPS is just not enough to be an effective soloer. Alright then, let's move on to farming. Alright guys, so in terms of farming, you know, this is where you know Abyssal Angel specializes in. You're gonna do the exact same combo, just don't use two, otherwise you will be locked into one target. And yeah, it's just overall Abyssal Angel. This is where its bread and butter really, you know, shines in you know, in farming. You know, it has good endurance. It can attack up to 4 targets. You know, it's pretty damn nice to have, and it can make clear work. It's like, you know, stream war. Everyone wants to get prismatic seams and whatnot. You know, good endurance, especially you know defenses debuffing the enemies and whatnot, increasing our crit and hit chance as well. And we have like you know a good heal over time, making it a pretty good farmer and whatnot in this type of situation where like there are some farming classes that can't you know withstand the damage of you know the stream war monsters, stream war mobs, whatnot. Just this class is pretty good. Just you know just do like 5-4-3 and then just don't use two unless you want to be locked into one target. There you go right here. We're already at 55, you know 57 kills right there. Just basically clearing house. Animations are still pretty good. It's just I don't know why people don't use Abyssal Shadow anymore. I guess it's in you know seasonal class. I mean there are like better you know farming classes like you know Archmage, Revenant, etc. But like with Abyssal Angel, let's just stop right there. Let's just stop right there. Okay, within 2 minutes, it was able to get 83 kills. That is not gonna lie, that's pretty up there. That's almost up there with like the likes of like, you know, an average, you know, Revenant session. Or like, yeah, Revenant, Dragon of Time, it's like nearly up there with like the top tier farmers of today. You know, making it a pretty great option actually, if you don't have any of the top tier farming classes. So yeah, in terms of farming, this class is actually, you know, pretty good at farming, especially with like low mobs. So yeah, let's move on to survivability. Alright people, so in terms of survivability, while this class, you know, it has the debuffs, it has a good ass, you know, heal over time, you know, quadruple endurance. It's just like, you know, in soloing sessions, like I said, low DPS, and especially against like bosses that like hit like 3K, it's just like this class may struggle against like harder hitting mobs. So you do want to watch out for that. Plus his DPS is, you know, very low right there. Oh, there we go right there. While it does have, you know, its defensive mechanics, as in, you know, the endurance and the heal over time and the debuffs, it's just like, you know, there are just monsters that could just, you know, bypass that. as well and hit hard, you know, being able to make it like one shot, two shot right there. There, this is what I mean by, you know, the low DPS, even when like soloing. So yeah, we're basically done here. So yeah, in terms of survivability, it could survive some situations, but you do gotta watch out for, you know, harder hitting mobs because it will crumble to those types of monsters. Alright, then let's move on to support and then final thought. Alright, guys, we're at the end point here, so let's talk about support. So support, it's not really gonna offer much in support. It could offer like a DOT and reducing the opponent's haste with, you know, yeah, with the third skill, but at the same time, there are just support classes that DOT far harder, like Arachnomancer, and just do a lot more than Abyssal Angel Shadow. So in terms of support, it's not really going to offer much. You're just better off using something else. Recommend using something else for support. All right then. The pros about Abyssal Angel is that, you know, it's easy to use. It's a great farmer, and it has, you know, good defensive mechanics. Like it's you know, quadruple endurance, and it has a good HOT, so it can able to, you know, be in some end game, you know, scenarios. That's pretty much all that I have for pros. The cons about, you know, Abyssal Angel is that, you know, it is a seasonal class. It only returns every November, so if you don't have the class now, you have to wait all the way till November. It's only available through 2KACs, and you know, lastly, the last con, you know, the second skill, Shadowed Flight, will lock you into a single target, which, you know, this class's bread and butter is to attack multiple targets as a farming class. So that's pretty much it for cons. Alright then, my final verdict about Abyssal Angels and Abyssal Angel Shadow is that Abyssal Angel is a good class to have for farming, especially against like low HP mobs, and it could hold its own in some endgame scenarios. I recommend getting this class in November if you have the 2KACs and or you don't have Archmage or Revenant, etc. Alright guys, pretty much been it for the Abyssal Angels overview. Make sure to like or subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh content, WWE content, tier list, you know, AK Roads content. You know, road to 400 guys. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. And yeah. Hi guys, out.